Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jackie.
Welcome back to Paper Therapy. We just both had technical issues there where we both dropped offline.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, because I really want to make sure that our listeners get to hear the rest of our conversation. And we were just at this exciting place where you were telling us about you being, you're going to be doing a TEDx talk, which is fantastic. I can really see in that really doing well for you.
Thank you.
But actually, the fact that you have to write the script word for word, which
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by about. Tell us more.
Yeah, it's just a real challenge to actually. I think I do a lot of talks, but I necessarily plan them in that way. I plan, but plan with lots of flexibility in there. And to think word for word what you're going to say means that you really need to craft it. You really need to think carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And also need to think about how you speak as opposed to how you write. And it's that creating a maybe 10, 20-minute story really that makes sense to everyone. And we've all got so much to say in the world, haven't we, that fills 80,000 words or 160,000 words or however many words a book is, and to try and distill that into such a short time is a real challenge.
But that's the gift of telling story, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking your writing and getting to the heart and of what's really important, and having that resonance and being able to touch people through your words. That's going to make a difference. In a way, it sounds like you've got to do a bit of stretching that you get women to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Lovely. I can't wait to listen to that, Jenny.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you.
Fantastic. What are you going to be talking about?
The title is Choose Joy Over Gender.
Oh, love that in it on its own. That's fantastic. Great. So this really gives women some other connections. So you're talking about you write about the things that you would like to read.
Yes.
So you're writing about things that matter to you, things that interest you, things that excite you. Because I'm thinking about women developing their platforms in terms of their expertise, their niches, and all of that can actually come out of your personal reflections, your observations. And I wonder if you could say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think in lots of ways. So you attend an event and you write a few notes. The thing that sticks out for you, you can elaborate on. And about. I do that sometimes. If I ever have an interesting conversation with you, Jackie, 10 blogs could come out of that because you always stimulate my thinking. There's some people you meet who are just so, they say one interesting thing after another. So I'll note it down and I'll go back to it and think, what does that mean for me? It's not about just what the person said, but what does that mean in my life? What lesson am I taking from it? What learning? What could I share with someone else about it? So it's kind of things, I get stimulated by other people and events I attend, conversations I have, challenges my clients face, and I kind of try and pose solutions and help, but also empathy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the way in which you are valuing your thought processes and your thinking, but actually a huge part of what it sounds is like part of your practice is reflecting.
Yes.
And I'm interested in the fact that your company, in terms of on the business side, is called Reflection Associates, which I work for you and with you. Tell us a bit more about how you arrived at that and the part that reflective practice plays in your success, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I think reflection, when I started my business, I thought it's about coaching. And for me, coaching is about helping people to reflect deeply. And my family is from St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and they speak French Creole. So the French of reflection is réflexion, with an X. And so I thought, well, that's nice. It brings in my heritage and it brings in what I think the business is about. But yeah, the reflection is key for me. I think it just stops you just doing. You can really go and you can do and you can fill your days with doing. But if you're not thinking about it, you can be doing all of the wrong things. Yeah. So I think as a business person, I think to stop and reflect and think about what I really want and how I'm going to get there. And if anything I'm doing is going to make that impact is really important. I think that bad habits that we can easily get into if you don't stop and reflect you just carry on with some really bad, unhealthy habits. You can have them quite easily. And I think just to unpack what you're doing, sometimes I'll have a conversation with my husband, my daughter, whoever, and I just go away and I think, let me just take a minute to unpack what's actually going on there, to step outside of it, to think about it from an objective stance, and just think, what am I doing? It's never just one person. It's always two people, at least, in a relationship. So what's my contribution? What's their contribution? How are we working together? So yeah, reflection is key, and I catch the moments to do that. I note things down for myself. I think I'm in the process of, I'm in the work of change, helping people to change, and in that process I'm always changing and evolving myself. And I don't think you can do that without reflection. I don't think you can change without reflecting on what you're currently doing, what you've done, what you want, and actually knowing if what you want is what you really want, and if that's going to be the right thing. The whole thing is about reflection and becoming as aware of yourself as possible, and knowing that that's a continuous journey, Jackee. That you don't actually reach your destination. I've reflected. I don't need to do it anymore. It's continuous. Yeah.
But it's also being about. It's about being present and the value in being in the present, because we're often trying to get into the future, which means we're missing the moments here and now.
Absolutely.
And there's so much value in these moments here and now.
Yes. Jackee, I make you laugh because I've been trying to pick my daughter up for school as much as possible, and if we drive down a hill, and every time we do, the sky looks amazing, and every day I say to her, "Oh my gosh, look at the clouds!" I'm like, and she's like, "Why? The clouds were there yesterday and the day before." It's like, no, they're completely different every day, and they're just amazing me every day. And I think reflection can help you to do that. To recognize how amazing everything, what we take for granted around us is. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a bit like smelling the flowers, isn't it? It's like going out and you walk past the same houses every day, but you don't notice the beautiful plants and flowers and colours that are there. And I remember, I think I read a recent blog post by Martha Beck where she talked about moving from one beautiful location in America to the desert, and how when she got to the desert she thought, this is bare and ugly and there's no beauty here, but slowly her eyes began to open, and she actually saw the beauty. It all started with the sky. So your daughter's young. I'm sure if you took her down a row of shops, she'll see she'll definitely see the beauty. She'll get to the clouds one day. So I know we're going to have to wrap up shortly, but I just want to crystallise what you're saying. So reflective practice. In there is emotional intelligence. We know that that's the stuff that leaders are made of, in terms of in terms of how we cultivate our characters, our personalities, who we are and who we're being. We know that presence is an important part of being impactful. So just thinking about all of this in connection to the writing, just give us a couple of short sound bites. What does your writing practice look like on a day-to-day basis? Because for somebody looking on your blog, there's a lot of blog posts there.
Right, okay.
How do you, and you've got you're married, you've got a daughter, you've got clients.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Sometimes it looks like random ideas, just random ideas that, I went to an event and I'll write down a few sentences. So sometimes it's random ideas. Other times it is me actually forming a blog. It's actually me thinking, I'm going to write 500 words on this topic that, sounds really interesting to me. So it's quite varied. And I brought a book, actually, Jackee. Can you see that?
Yeah, love. Can you just push it a bit closer? Lovely butterflies.
Yes, and it's the textured. It's like got fabric and little sequins. And this is a book I used particularly when I was feeling a bit stuck. So I was trying to do different things with this journal. So I thought it might be nice to show you that I did some really, I don't know if you can see.
Oh, so that's some of your sideways writing in different ways?
Yes, and I stuck bits of things on it.
Lovely. So you stuck those things in there?
I said I finally start this journal perhaps a year after receiving it. So I bought the journal, but I didn't actually start writing in it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
This was a time when I was a bit stuck, and I've done all sorts of
lovely
writing, and so and sometimes it's standard, normal, just writing.
Yep.
And other times it's sort of all over the place. So so that, it can look quite different. I guess that's what I'm saying, really. There isn't a standard way. Sometimes it's me sticking things in, and other times it's me just writing on a daily basis, just little things that come to mind. I think for me, actually it's about capturing, so many times you go into the shower, you have an idea, you walk out the shower, you've forgotten it.
Yeah.
I think the journal captures it. It captures what you're really thinking.
Yeah.
Makes me and my clients become much more conscious of what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And I think when you're conscious, you're much more aware of your values, and you're much more purposeful about your thoughts and what they lead to. Because if you don't know what you're thinking, you really don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
You don't know, you just don't know where you're going or what you're doing. And
yeah.
So many times our thoughts are sabotaging us, and we're not aware of that. So I guess journaling for me and the leaders I work with and the women I coach is about becoming much more conscious of their thoughts.
Yeah.
And being much more purposeful with them in order to take them beyond where they thought they would be going.
So this is great. So Joan Didion, the writer, she said, I write to understand what I think. So, and I know that so many people feel frustrated because they don't do anything with some of their thoughts.
Yeah.
See, when you capture your thoughts in your journal, you allow it to fertilize, and then you turn it into something else, and you make it into something concrete. That's growing your confidence.
Yeah.
That's feeding your level of satisfaction with who you are and what you're doing. It's building your platform.
Absolutely. And I think lots of women are very nervous. If I put myself out there, people might not like it. Who am I to put myself out there?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I might get people hating me. You know what? I find people are attracted. The right people are always attracted to you. And people don't have to read it, and they don't have to get involved. But, if one of your blogs supports one person, I think that's amazing.
And maybe that's something to really hold in mind, because I think that we get really seduced by numbers.
Yeah.
To me, if it impacts one person, wow.
Exactly.
In this time of information overload, let me tell you, if you're impacting one person, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's so easy for us to just skim the surface. And not really.
Just one last thing about writing. When I wrote my book, I felt very vulnerable. And maybe that's how other people might feel when they put themselves out there with their writing. And I remember actually at my book launch where you were there and you were a great big part of it, Jackee. Every time someone opened my book, I actually felt like they were like reaching into my soul. I actually had that, oh my gosh, but vulnerability I think vulnerability gives you strength. That's made me the strongest person I can be through being vulnerable. And I think putting yourself out there through writing makes you so strong.
Yeah.
I think it really does.
I think you're absolutely right. And the paper therapy journey is a journey of vulnerability, which finds people stepping into their strength. And I think this is a really important and a beautiful place for us to kind of maybe begin to wrap up our conversation today, which has just been great, is that the journal allows you the space. It affords you the space. It gives you permission to allow that vulnerability, that vulnerable self, to be alive, to be engaged, to have a voice. Because so often we don't allow it to have a voice. And it's from that place. It's a bit like the metaphor of a tree, from acorns and oak. Yeah. From the vulnerability. And I think it's really important. And I hope that women and men who listen to this talk, Jenny, really get this, because you're out there, you are changing people's lives, and it can be so easy to look at you and think, well, she doesn't do vulnerability. But actually, it's at the heart of what, who you are and what you're about.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. Which is why I love you.
I love you too, you.
I think you're absolutely great. So, just one last question. You know, we could go on forever.
Yes.
But we've both got clients to go and service and work to do. On a desert island, what are you going to take, book or journal?
Oh, yeah, journal. Because journal, gosh, imagine you could go on forever. A book, you've read it and you know the story. A journal, just huge possibilities. Yeah, who knows? Who knows where the story would end?
Fabulous.
And you can write a number of endings.
Fabulous. And Jenny, I'm going to be like Desert Island Disc, and I'm going to grant you a pen that doesn't run out of ink.
Oh, thank you. I'll be happy forever.
and of course, now that I've said that, I've got to give you a journal that doesn't run out of pages either. Good, so you can just write on and on and on and on and on, and you can just have story after story after story.
Lovely. Thank you.
Jenny, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Paper Therapy. It's just a joy in terms of the work that you do, the way in which writing runs like a river through your life. You've shared some great tips, and I'll be writing up some of these when we upload the interview onto our course. And I might actually make this public, actually, because I think it's just full of such great information. It just feels a shame to just kind of keep it encased in the course. So, I may share one or two bits from the interview on public domain.
Okay, lovely.
Jenny, have a wonderful day. I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye.